Basketball Talk Pro. You know, when I sit around and watch these games, both the NCAA tournament and then now the playoffs, I watch and I see some things that kind of bother me. One of them is, especially in the college game, is the pace. The pace that teams are trying to play at. And I think that I just felt I needed to talk to you a little bit about this because I have a very big fondness for pace. I've had it all my career. Just something that meant a lot to me right from the beginning. And I kind of learned it by feel. But it was very early in my career that I just felt that our team was, one team in particular, was just going at a pace that was not effective for them. I could feel it. And once we changed that pace a little bit, they went from a very mediocre team to a great team by the time the tournaments came around. So I wanted to just put some ideas out for you that may help you. You know, John Wooden had a statement that a lot of people, know that it was his statement. It really wasn't, by the way, but and that statement was, be quick, but don't hurry. And I think this ties up very carefully what we're talking about in pace and how it is effective for you. Basically what he was saying is, don't give up your drive, give up your aggressiveness, but don't do it in such a hurried fashion. There is a pace that is right for you and for your team. And once you hit that, then you'll find effectiveness. John Wooden, though, I should explain, almost everything he talked about in basketball, he really related to life. After he retired, he made a lot of speeches for big companies. Was paid a lot of money to make those speeches. He gave everything to charity, all of his money that he made speaking. But he would transform the lessons that he was trying to teach as a coach to people in living their life. And I think that pace is a part of our life. And I think that we all can be more comfortable and work better if we work at the pace that affects us in the best way. But there's a lot of questions about pace. First of all, what is pace? Well, pace to me is the speed that you're going up and down the floor. It changes some in the half court, but still it is the speed that you're moving at and you're doing things at. You're trying to run a fast break and at high speed, maybe faster than you can handle, and you make mistakes. So it's the speed that you operate at on both the length of the floor and the half court. One of the ways you can grade your speed or your pace is by possessions. How many possessions does your team play in night after night? Are you a 100 possession team or a 50 possession team if you're in college? That's one way you can adjust your pace and understand your pace. I don't particularly do that, and I don't particularly like that. I think I have a feeling in my heart about this, that your team will tell you the right pace. They may not vocalize it, but they will, if you let them go and not try to force them into a pace, they will tend to play at the pace that they're most effective at. And this is where I see the mistakes, is the forcing of players to play out of their pace. And each individual, it's amazing to me how players playing with each other tend to operate as a team within that pace, even though individuals may have a different pace. We all have a different pace in our life. There is no set rule of how you find this out with your team. I simply, when we start practice, if I have a new team, I will ask for a relatively fast pace. But after we have gotten along for maybe a week or two, I don't do that anymore. I just watch. I just watch whatever pace they come up with, I accept. They tell me, I don't tell them. And I've had teams that need a fast pace, they work best. I've had teams that have a very slow pace, and it doesn't make much difference whether you're fast or slow as an individual. It's the pace that you're working at. I've mentioned this many times that I had a team one time in a minor league, professional league. We had very good players, and the league had very good players. And that team was one of the slowest teams I've ever been around. They just did not go fast. They were all quick, really quick, and they could generate that quickness, but their pace was almost, like so slow you kind of wanted to push them, but I never did. And that team was the most effective team I've ever had in running our offense. They knew their pace, they stayed with it. They could be quick, very quick on cuts and things like that. But as a team, they just went very, very slow, but very, very effective. And it didn't bother their scoring. They were averaging 104 points a game through their opponent's 89. And but it was the slowest group I've ever been around. When you have the right pace, what you're going to find is that mistakes all of a sudden become less. When I was with Orlando, we had a point guard. He's actually the head coach in Cleveland now. And Paul Westhead was, very into the fast break. And Paul is a wonderful coach, and he's got a wonderful system for him. Not for me, but for him, he does. But he could not get that point guard to go fast enough. And when he did, the guy made a lot of mistakes. It was forcing him out of his pace. Now, John and Paul and I discussed this. My feeling was that you could force a player into the wrong pace, or a team into the wrong pace. His feeling was no. He wanted speed. Wooden wanted speed, but under a more controlled situation. And he did recognize when the pace had to be different for different teams. Even your shooting is better. Too fast or too slow a pace, and you will find that shots aren't dropping like they will when you're in the right pace. And I think it adds to smoothness. What I don't like to see in pace, and I see it, especially in the college game, it's kind of a stuttering pace. You know, quick, slow, no smoothness to it. I think that when you're in a good pace for you, you're smooth. You're doing things very smooth. I think of the Laker teams and the Bulls teams when Phil Jackson was coaching. I've never spoken to him about this, but his teams, and I coached against him, his teams always had a smoothness to them, relentless, pushing you constantly, but under complete control. And you can see it in certain teams, but chances are the coach has a lot to do with that. So look for that smoothness as you're trying to seek out your different feelings about the pace. Respect your individuals. You have to remember that not everybody on that team operates at the same pace. There may be reasons for you to play a certain player or not play a certain player as much, and know how that player will affect you. But respect that individual, because you try to force him beyond what he wants and feels comfortable with, you're probably going to make a poorer player out of him. Now, after you establish a pace and you're comfortable with it as a player, as a coach, one thing I think you need to remember is to be completely relentless with that pace. It has to be time after time after time. It can't be fast one time and slower this time. Stay relentless with it. Get it, and then keep it, and use it constantly, consistently, and you'll be surprised how much better your team responds. And the last thing I will say to you is, because I see this, do not strategize with your pace. It's your pace. You play your pace every game the same way. If you disrupt that, I think you'll end up having more trouble than what you think you're doing to your opponents. I know a lot of coaches that will say, we got to play slow against this team, then we got to play fast against this team. I don't think that is productive. I think you end up hurting your own team more than you hurt your opponents. And in the long run, you probably lose the game. You may have thought you did a great job of coaching, but the scoreboard says the other team won. And so I would say don't strategize at all with it. Get your pace and play it. How they play is not your factor. You simply are there to make sure your team is playing at the right pace. And I think you have a lot more success. You will tend then to control pace. If you play at your pace all the time, you tend to control pace. Once you control pace, your chances are very good of winning. Well, that's it for today, and I hope you think this serious. Not enough teams, not enough coaches really take pace serious. But I think the good coaches do. They understand it. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.